Okay, so get this. Cosmic marriage. Cosmic marriage, right? It's a concept I saw. And it really just stopped me in my tracks. It sounded like something honestly straight out of Avatar. You know,
Yeah.
like Destiny level romance.
It's interesting, though. It's interesting how this idea of like this really deep connection that's more than just, surface level,
Right.
it really taps into something, very human,
Hold
this
on.
desire for that.
Like we're talking soulmate territory, but with a cosmic twist, right?
Yeah.
This isn't your average dating app meet cute.
No, no, not at all. The blog post that we're diving into today kind of lays out this whole idea of cosmic marriage and the idea that your true partner is, get this, already decided.
Whoa. Okay.
And it stems from this idea of past lives and encounters that have, shaped our souls.
Okay, so before we get lost in the cosmos here,
Right.
the blog post uses this phrase te vejo, which translates to I see you,
Yes.
but it's not just about like physical attraction,
Yeah.
it's deeper than that.
Absolutely. It's like saying, I see your soul.
Yes.
I see you for who you truly are on a soul level. And this idea that, a soulmate recognizes you instantly, who just gets you completely. You see this reflected in a lot of different cultures and traditions, like the idea of bashert in Jewish tradition or
Yeah.
twin flames in New Age circles. It's this yearning for this really profound, predestined connection.
So fascinating. So if this cosmic connection is already predetermined, does that mean our love lives are basically set in stone? Like,
Yeah.
do we even have free will in this cosmic matchmaking game?
Right, right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the blog post doesn't really delve into the mechanics of, free will versus destiny,
Right.
but it does emphasize the importance of personal growth in preparing for this cosmic marriage.
So it's not just about bumping into your soulmate at the cosmic supermarket. You have to prepare.
Yeah.
You have to become the kind of person who's ready for that level of connection.
Exactly. Exactly. It suggests that all of our experiences, even the messy relationships, the difficult ones, they're not mistakes, they're lessons.
Okay.
They're preparing us for something greater.
So heartbreak isn't just bad dating luck. It's cosmic curriculum.
Yes.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But how does that work, really, in practice? How can a past relationship, especially a difficult one, actually make us more ready for this profound connection?
Well, think about it this way. Each relationship, even the ones that don't last, reveals something about ourselves.
Oh.
It might highlight patterns in our behavior, it might push us to grow in certain areas, or it might show us what we truly need from a partner.
I like that.
Maybe a past relationship helped you set better boundaries or recognize red flags
Yeah.
that you might have missed before.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like we're refining our relationship radar with each experience, even if it doesn't feel that way at the time.
Right.
So there's still this big question of, like, who are we being prepared for?
Yeah.
The blog post talks about recognizing your reflection in your cosmic partner.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
This reflection idea is interesting. It gets into this whole concept of mirroring in relationships,
Okay.
which actually has a basis in psychology. And it suggests that we are often drawn to people who reflect back qualities we admire or see in ourselves, even if those qualities are ones that we're still developing.
So it's less about finding your other half and more about finding someone who's on a similar wavelength,
Yeah.
who maybe challenges you to grow,
Yeah.
but ultimately you see a lot of yourself in them.
Exactly. It's like looking into a mirror, not to see an identical copy, but to recognize shared values, aspirations, and even those things we're still working on within ourselves.
That's interesting.
And this whole idea of mirroring can get really interesting when we think about how it plays out in healthy versus unhealthy relationships.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Mm,
So in a healthy dynamic, this mirroring can actually be a catalyst for growth.
exactly. Imagine you're with someone who embodies a quality that you admire. Let's say, for example, confidence.
Right.
Witnessing their confidence can then inspire you to embrace that part of yourself.
Oh, I like that.
Or if you're both working on, say, communication skills, you can learn and grow together.
It's like having a built-in accountability partner for personal growth.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I like that. But I'm guessing it doesn't always play out so ideally.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, in unhealthy relationships, this mirroring can kind of take a darker turn.
Okay.
Imagine if you're struggling with self-worth
Yeah.
and you end up with someone who constantly criticizes you. That can actually reinforce those negative self-beliefs.
So it's about being mindful of who we allow to reflect back at us.
Yes,
It's like choosing a mirror that's going to help us see ourselves more clearly rather than distorting our view.
precisely. And that's where the blog post's emphasis on peace and confidence in a cosmic marriage really resonates, I think. It suggests that in this kind of relationship, there's this really deep sense of security and acceptance that allows both partners to truly be themselves.
Which, honestly, that just sounds pretty idyllic. No wonder it caught our attention.
It's compelling vision, isn't it?
Yeah.
But even if we don't subscribe to this whole idea of predetermined partners,
Right.
I think it's a valuable exercise to explore what makes for a strong, healthy relationship.
Absolutely. And this idea of recognizing our reflection in a partner, of finding someone who challenges us to grow, but also celebrates our growth. I mean, that's something to think about, regardless of your beliefs about cosmic destiny.
I completely agree. It's about being intentional about the kind of love we invite into our lives.
And maybe that in itself is a little bit cosmic, right? Speaking of cosmic, there's another layer to this cosmic marriage idea that I found honestly both intriguing and a little intimidating.
What's that?
Well, the blog post talks about how this kind of deep connection, it isn't all, sunshine and roses.
Right.
It supposedly brings to the surface all your, like, invisible shadows, your insecurities, all the stuff we usually try to keep hidden.
Yes, the shadow self.
Right.
It's a concept that makes some people squirm a little,
Yeah.
but it's so crucial to understanding how we really show up in relationships.
Okay.
And the idea is that we all have parts of ourselves that we keep hidden, even from ourselves sometimes.
Right.
And these can be our fears, our insecurities, past traumas, things we don't like to acknowledge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like this cosmic spotlight just
Yeah.
shines on all the stuff we usually have tucked away in, like the attic of our subconscious.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And while that can be uncomfortable, the blog post frames it as like a necessary part of the process.
Okay.
It suggests that a true cosmic connection has the power to draw out these shadows, not to punish us, but to actually help us heal and grow.
It's like that saying, like, the truth will set you free, but first it'll probably freak you out a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about shadows. They lose their power when we bring them into the light.
Okay.
By acknowledging and accepting those, less than perfect parts of ourselves, we can actually strengthen our relationships.
So it's not about finding someone who makes us forget about our flaws, but someone who helps us see them, accept them, maybe even laugh about them every once in a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding someone who loves us, not in spite of our shadows, but because of them.
Oh, wow.
Someone who recognizes that our flaws are just as much a part of who we are as our strengths.
That's a really powerful concept.
Yeah.
It makes me think about how often we try to present this, like, perfect image, especially when we first start dating someone.
Absolutely. We're all guilty of it to some extent, right?
Yeah.
We want to put our best foot forward, which is natural.
Of course.
But when we try to hide our true selves, it creates distance in a relationship.
Because true intimacy requires vulnerability, right?
Yes.
It's about letting someone see us, flaws and all, and trusting that they'll still accept us.
Exactly. And that kind of vulnerability can be scary, but it's also incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
When we can be our authentic selves with another person, it creates a level of connection that we could never achieve through pretense.
So how does this shadow work, as they call it, actually play out in a cosmic marriage? Does the blog post offer any, like, practical advice?
It doesn't get into specifics, but it does emphasize the importance of communication and compassion.
Okay.
When we're in a relationship with someone who, triggers our shadows, it's crucial to be able to communicate our feelings openly and honestly.
And that requires a certain level of self-awareness, right? Like,
Right.
we have to be able to recognize when our buttons are being pushed and why.
Absolutely. If we're not aware of our own shadows, we're more likely to project them onto our partners, which never ends well.
Right.
Right.
So part of preparing for this cosmic marriage, or really any healthy relationship, is doing our own inner work,
Exactly.
understanding our own triggers and insecurities.
Exactly. It's about taking responsibility for our own emotional baggage and not expecting our partners to fix us or complete us.
Which brings us back to that idea of becoming the one instead of waiting to find the one, right?
Yes.
It's about cultivating wholeness within ourselves so that we can show up as our most authentic and complete selves.
Precisely. And when two whole individuals come together, each committed to their own growth and self-awareness, that's when the real magic happens.
It's like that quote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed."
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Because it highlights the transformative power of relationships, you know?
Oh,
When we approach them with intention and a willingness to learn and grow, they can be incredible catalysts for personal evolution.
so instead of getting caught up in the idea of a predetermined cosmic partner, maybe the real takeaway is to focus on becoming the best partners we can be to ourselves and to others.
Absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, that's what ultimately leads us to the kind of deep, soulful connection that we're all searching for, cosmically ordained or otherwise.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a hopeful thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the power to create the love we desire starts with us.
It does, and it's a powerful reminder that we don't need to wait for a cosmic connection to start living our best lives and creating meaningful relationships.
So true. Now, speaking of creating meaningful relationships, the blog post also touches on something that I think is incredibly important, and that's the role of support in a cosmic marriage. It emphasizes this sense of mutual encouragement and celebration for each other's growth.
Yes, that resonated with me as well.
Yeah,
It's about having a partner who not only accepts us for who we are, but also inspires us to evolve and expand.
exactly. And I love how the blog post frames it not as trying to change each other, but as encouraging each other to become the best versions of ourselves.
It's about recognizing that we all have this potential for growth, and having a partner who believes in us and supports our journey can make all the difference.
It's like having a built-in cheerleader for the soul,
Yes.
someone who reminds us of our own strength and brilliance even when we forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of support can be transformative, whether it comes from a romantic partner, a close friend, or even a mentor, right?
Right.
It's about recognizing the power of human connection to inspire us, uplift us, and help us become the best versions of ourselves.
And maybe, just maybe, that's the real magic of this whole cosmic marriage thing.
Perhaps it is.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's not so much about finding a preordained partner, but about cultivating the kinds of relationships that nurture our souls and help us shine our brightest light.
It's less about the destination and more about the journey,
Yes.
the shared experience of growth and evolution.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that's what ultimately leads us to that deep soul-level connection we're all searching for.
And maybe, just maybe, that journey is even more beautiful and fulfilling than we could ever imagine.
Perhaps it is. Perhaps that's the real cosmic conspiracy, that love in all its forms is constantly guiding us towards our highest good.
That's a really beautiful thought to hold on to.
Yeah.
You know, as we've been talking about this idea of cosmic marriage,
Right.
I keep coming back to this one question.
Okay.
The blog post keeps mentioning this idea that our cosmic partner is already decided.
Right?
So if it's already decided,
Yeah.
does that mean we have no say in the matter?
Right.
Like, what happens to free will
Yeah.
in this whole cosmic matchmaking scenario?
Well, that's a question that's been debated for centuries, right?
It really has.
Fate versus free will.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
The blog post itself doesn't delve too deeply into the hows and whys of this predetermined connection.
So are we talking about some kind of cosmic algorithm that's already paired us up?
Right.
Like, do we get a notification when our soulmate is within a 5-mile radius?
I wouldn't take it literally like that.
Okay.
I think the real question, and
Yeah.
what the blog post seems to be getting at,
Okay.
is how this idea, even if it's just a concept,
Right.
changes how we approach love itself.
Right. Because if we're so focused on this idea of a preordained one,
Yeah.
do we miss out on potential connections in the present?
Right.
Do we write people off because they don't fit this preconceived cosmic mold?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that idea of personal responsibility that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Maybe it's less about finding the right person
Yes.
and more about becoming the right person.
Becoming the best version of ourselves
Yeah.
so that we're ready for that connection, whether it's cosmically ordained or not.
Exactly. Because ultimately, whether you believe in cosmic marriage or not,
Right.
I think we can all agree that a strong, healthy relationship requires two whole, self-aware individuals
Yes.
who are ready to show up authentically.
Individuals who are ready to embrace the messiness, the joy, the challenges, all of it.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that relationships, especially those deep, soulful connections, are a dance, not a destination.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So instead of getting caught up in the already decided part,
Right.
Maybe the real takeaway is to approach all our relationships, romantic or otherwise,
Yeah.
as opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
Absolutely. Every connection, every encounter has the potential to teach us something valuable about ourselves
I love that.
and about what we truly value in a partner.
It's like that saying, everyone we meet is either a blessing or a lesson.
Exactly. And sometimes it's both.
It really is.
So instead of searching for that one perfect, predetermined person, maybe the journey is about becoming more aware, more open, and more present in all our relationships.
Which, in a way, is its own form of cosmic connection, what wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
The idea that our lives and our choices are part of a much larger tapestry.
I love that it's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into cosmic marriage,
Yes.
what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, whether this concept resonates deeply or sparks a healthy dose of skepticism,
Right.
I think the most important thing is to approach love and relationships with a sense of curiosity, compassion, and a willingness to grow.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe that's enough to lead you to a love that feels truly cosmic.
Beautifully said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into this fascinating and thought-provoking world of cosmic marriage.
Indeed, it's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the cosmic unknown. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep your hearts open to the possibilities.